One letter, one memory, one moment that changed everything. She forgot my name, but remembered our song. The first time Mom forgot my name, I laughed. We were sitting at the kitchen table, the sun hitting the checkered tiles just right. I asked her for the butter, and she blinked at me. "What did you say your name was again?" She smiled, half joking. I thought she was being playful, but there was something off in her eyes, like she wasn't entirely sure. That night, I told myself it was nothing, just a lapse, a moment. People forget things all the time, but that moment, it would be the first crack in a wall that would soon crumble completely. Weeks passed, and Mom's memory seemed to come and go like fog. Some mornings she'd call me kiddo or sweetie, never my name. She started putting the milk in the pantry, toast in the fridge. One afternoon, I found her trying to unlock the front door with a spoon. She laughed it off, said she was tired, but I saw the fear behind her smile, so I took her to the doctor. And when the word Alzheimer's hung in the room like a storm cloud, I wanted to scream, but all I could do was hold her hand. When I was little, Mom used to hum a song while brushing my hair. Edelweiss, from The Sound of Music. Her voice was soft and sweet, like a lullaby wrapped in snow. It always calmed me. Even in high school, when I was too cool for hugs, she'd sing it quietly while folding laundry, and I'd secretly listen from the hallway. That song was hers, ours, a little anchor in a world that never stopped spinning. I didn't know then how much I'd come to need it. I labeled everything, drawers, cabinets, even the bathroom mirror. "You are in your home." Mom looked at the sticky notes with a quiet kind of sadness. "I'm sorry," she whispered once, tracing the label on the coffee pot. "Don't be," I said. She smiled. "But I hate that you have to do this." I wanted to tell her I didn't mind, but I did. Not because it was work, but because every label reminded me we were losing pieces of her, one word at a time. Every Sunday I brought over donuts. She liked the powdered ones, even if she didn't remember why. "Are you the neighbor boy?" she asked once. I shook my head. "No, Mom, I'm Ben, your son." "Oh," she said, and nodded like she understood. But she didn't. I saw it in her eyes. Still, we sat in the garden and fed birds. She laughed at squirrels like she always had, and for a moment it felt like she was still there. I found her journal in the attic, pages filled with her looping cursive, recipes, grocery lists, little prayers for me. God help Ben pass his exams. Keep him safe at college. I cried reading it, not because I missed the words, but because she couldn't write them anymore. She'd forgotten how to hold a pen. The call came from a neighbor. Mom had walked out in her nightgown, barefoot, confused. She thought she was going to church, but it was Wednesday and cold. I found her near the bus stop, shivering. She looked at me like I was a stranger. "Ma'am," I said gently, "can I walk you home?" She nodded, and I walked beside her like I used to walk beside her when I was 5. Only now I was the one keeping her safe. Some days she came back, just for a minute. She'd look at me and say, "Ben," like it was the most obvious thing in the world, and my heart would light up like Christmas morning. But the light always faded, fast, like trying to hold water in your hands. Still, I lived for those seconds. Little merciers from a cruel disease. She forgot it was Christmas. But I still put up the tree, hung the same ornaments we'd used for 30 years. She stared at the lights like they were stars. Then she asked, "Did I make cookies this year?" "No," I said, "but we can." We burned the first batch. She laughed until she cried, and so did I. One evening, I played Edelweiss on my phone. She looked up from her chair, eyes wide. Softly like a ghost, she whispered the words, "Edelweiss, Edelweiss, every morning you greet me." I nearly dropped the phone. She remembered, not me, not her name, but the song, our song. She sang it all the way through, voice cracking, but there. For the first time in weeks, she smiled like herself. After that night, I played music more often. Old records, movie soundtracks. Sometimes she'd tap her fingers to the rhythm. Sometimes she'd hum. She couldn't remember what day it was, but she knew every note of Moon River and Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Her mind was slipping, but music was her thread to the world. So I followed it, every chance I got. Because when the words were gone, the melodies still lived. One afternoon, she called me Dad. Her voice was small, her eyes unsure. "Dad, can we go for a walk?" I nodded. "Of course." She took my hand like a child, and I didn't correct her. Because in that moment, she needed comfort, not clarity. And maybe, just maybe, she felt safe calling me that. She hadn't touched the piano in years. It sat in the corner like a forgotten friend. But one day, she walked to it, placed her hands on the keys, and began playing. Edelweiss. Slower than before, a little off-key. But she played it, and I sat on the floor, tears rolling down, watching my mother come alive for 2 minutes and 47 seconds. Eventually, I had to make the call. A memory care facility. It felt like betrayal, but she needed more than I could give. The first night there, she was scared, so I brought her blanket, her framed wedding photo, and the little music box that played Edelweiss. She clutched it like it was gold. She didn't say my name, but she whispered, "I know this song." And that was enough. Her room was small but warm, a window overlooking the garden, bird feeders, sunlight. She kept the music box by her bed. Every nurse told me, "She doesn't talk much, but she hums that little tune all day long." I smiled. It was the last part of her no disease could take. Then came the rapid decline. She forgot how to chew, how to walk, how to smile. She stopped humming, stopped reacting, sat still, silent, her eyes distant. But every visit, I played Edelweiss. Even if she didn't respond, I hoped some part of her heard it, some part of her remembered. On a rainy Tuesday, I held her hand. She hadn't spoken in a week. I leaned in and whispered, "Do you know who I am?" Nothing. So I sang softly, "Edelweiss, Edelweiss." Her lips moved. Barely. She mouthed, "Bless my homeland forever." Then her hand squeezed mine, just once. And then she closed her eyes. She passed that night, peaceful, no machines, no struggle, just quiet, like a candle going out after a long, brave burn. The nurse said she had the music box in her hand, still wound up, still playing the tune. I sat in my car and played the song again, letting it break me, letting it heal me. I packed her things slowly, each item a memory, her scarf, her old recipe cards, the journal I once found in the attic, and the music box. I kept it, wound it every night for a month. Not because I needed the music, but because it still felt like a conversation. In a drawer, I found a letter, to me, dated 5 years before her diagnosis. She wrote, "If the time comes when I forget you, please remember, my love for you is not in my memory, it's in my soul." I couldn't breathe. She knew, long before I did, and she prepared for it the best she could. Years later, I had a son. We named him James after her father. He never met her, but every night I sing Edelweiss while rocking him to sleep. He doesn't know the story, not yet, but one day he will. And maybe through that song, she'll live in him too. Sometimes I sit by the piano, my hands on the keys. I can't play like she did, but I try. Slow, careful, and every time I do, I feel her beside me. Not as a memory, not as a ghost, but as a melody that never fades. Yes, she forgot my name, forgot my birthday, forgot where we lived, but she never forgot the song, the one she sang to me, the one I now sing to my son. And in that song, I hear her voice, clear, warm, still loving me from somewhere beyond forgetting. Love is not in the names we remember. It's in the things that stay when everything else fades. A song, a touch, a scent. Edelweiss wasn't just music, it was her voice, echoing through the years. She may have forgotten who I was, but she never forgot us. Not really, because the song stayed, and so did she.